Hi everyone, thanks for joining that next session, now focusing on SPDM systems and the combination of SPDM with engineering workflow automation, of course, that we handle with P7 Enterprise. For this new presentation, I'd like to welcome Mr. Michael Morgay, who is Executive Board Member at PDTech. PDTech is a software editor with whom we have some collaboration and partnership ongoing. Michael will introduce, let's say, the concept of SPDM globally speaking. Then I will take over from his presentation to explain, let's say, what is the added value of combining then SPDM system with workflow automation. And finally, we're going to have a live demo with my colleague George, who will drive that demo. It will be extremely short, but at least you will see the system in action. So with this, welcome to all of you. Welcome, Michael. The floor is yours for the intro.
Thank you very much, Laurent. I will share my slides. So thank you very much, Laurent and Data Advance, for giving PDTech the opportunity to introduce PDTech and also the solution which PDTech and Data Advance created to empower, let's say, SPDM processes with engineering workflow automation. So now on the next 2-3 slides, I would like to introduce PDTech, our vision of a platform addressing the requirements of the modern industry, and explaining the platform as the basis for the joint solution which PDTech and Data Advance created. And then, as Laurent mentioned, I would like to hand over to Laurent to explain more details about the benefits of the joint solution. So PDTech was founded almost 25 years ago in Karlsruhe in Germany, south of Germany. 25 years of engineering knowledge is built into our platform, which we are offering today. The vision and foundation idea of PDTech was to enable information to flow. That's also put into the company name. So PDTech is the shortcut for product data technology. And our mission is innovation through integration. So integrating databases, authoring tools, etc., into each other to enable information flow, which we supply based on our platform, which we are offering today. PDTech is active in different industries. Mainly it is automotive today, followed by ship building, aerospace and defense, mechanical and plant engineering. Our customers are globally known brands, very often leading in their industries. So I mentioned automotive, for example, where we have Daimler, Audi, Porsche, Volkswagen, Renault as a customer. In Japan, we directly have Mitsubishi Motors and Nissan as a customer. But we also have customers in other industries like Grundfos in Denmark, which is more in plant engineering, or also Deutsche Bahn, which is in infrastructure. One important statement I would like to place here is that in Germany, except one, all automotive OEMs are working with PDTech solutions. And the only one which is not yet working, we are discussing at the moment a joint project. So maybe in future, I can also mention that all German automotive OEMs are relying on PDTech solutions. I mentioned the platform which we are developing since 25 years. With the platform, PDTech is addressing the vision of Gartner, which some of you may know. So Gartner is positioning the vision of composable applications. Gartner sees a big challenge in the industry today, Gartner sees that as products which our customers are developing and manufacturing are getting more and more complex, we are discussing systems of systems containing mechanical, electric, electronic, software components. So as products are getting more and more complex, Gartner says that if at the same time software infrastructure also gets more complex, then there will be challenges in the industry which the industry won't be able to manage anymore in future. And that's why software infrastructure, software solutions, Gartner says complexity has to be reduced. And the key are composable solutions where you have platforms offering apps for different purposes. And depending on the challenge and the task the customer has, apps are used to address these specific challenges. And this is exactly what PDTech does. So here's a view on let's say, the domains which the PDTech engineering platform with its apps is addressing. So we are addressing, of course, computer-aided engineering, the main topic in today's user conference of Data Advance, where we are offering apps for pre-processing, HPC integration, post-processing, analysis, reporting, etc. We are also going with our apps into the mechanical CAD data management domain with CAD interfaces, management of bill of materials, manufacturing bill of materials, etc. We are also covering project management, data logistics, and workflows in our platform. If we go a bit more into detail, you see the platform here as the basis for everything what PDTech does and offers. So we ourselves, based on the requirements of our customers, we pick out apps out of the PDTech engineering platform, combine these apps and compose our own brands, which is today Sim Data Manager, for example, or CAD Portal, just to mention two examples. We also have partners as Data Advance, and together with partners, we do it same as we do it with our own brands. We pick out apps which we need, combine these apps, and compose solutions together with our partners. And the topic of today's slot, together with Data Advance, is to show you how this combination of PDTech engineering platform and its apps and P7 enables or empowers simulation by engineering workflow automation. And this is the point where I would like to hand over to Laurent to go a bit more into detail.
Yep, thank you, Michael. Indeed, so we collaborate here to bring, or let's say, to complement our respective platforms with their strengths and weaknesses. And so I'd like to explain here the situation. So let me share the screen. Can you stop sharing yours, Michael, please?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so as I said, SPDM platforms and workflow automation platforms, they both have, let's say, strength and weaknesses. And we are talking here about the combination of both and how they complement and how the weaknesses of each platform is complemented by the strengths of the other one. So let me first draw the picture here for those who are not necessarily familiar with these types of systems. So let's talk about SPDM first and see what's the situation. SPDM is well known for being able to manage, of course, all the CAE data and projects. So it's SPDM means simulation process and data management. So it's focusing on simulation and the data produced by simulation. It's a collaborative environment like our beloved product P7 Enterprise. It brings traceability, capability, versioning. To a certain extent, it breaks silos because of its collaborative nature. This is how you can avoid also rework. That's a very nice thing, by the way, because rework is a real pain for many industries. and it's tightly linked to the traceability or the lack of traceability. Reason is very simple. If you cannot trace the information, at some point, you don't know anymore how the results have been produced, or how the report has been produced, or how the key information is derived from upstream information. In that case, the only thing you can do is to redo the work. And this is a big, actually, activity in most industries. So SPDM is good for this, to avoid that rework. It also captures the knowledge, obviously, and it reduces the time spent on searching information. The SPDM platforms like Sim Data Manager provides a search engine, of course, that you can use, and based on metadata, you can do very nice queries to find the information you need, and you have the entire data pedigree for any object which is handled by the platform. These are the strengths. However, there are some also challenges that these SPDM platforms meet. For example, they have to operate in environments, so usually in large organizations where these platforms are deployed, you have a zoo of software. It's literally hundreds of CAE applications that the SPDM system needs to discuss with. So this is already a big challenge. Also, these SPDM platforms embed the business workflow logic. So you have this notion of user profile, managers, and people working in teams, etc. And there is a handover mechanism. So when first team has finished the work, then it hands over to the next team, etc. But so you can somehow capture that business or human workflow. But most of these SPDM platforms don't provide the engineering workflow automation as we do, for example, with P7 Enterprise. So this is where you can see me coming with the idea of combining, of course, the two systems. It also gathers a lot of engineering data. So it's a big source of information and know-how, but doesn't necessarily embed the AI tools and framework that you need to exploit that data. So this is where we can help also with a platform like P7. Doesn't include neither the design exploration capability, like design of experiment, stochastic analysis, UQ optimization, etc., which is definitely in the area of PIDO or the platform like P7 Enterprise. And last point, which is maybe less objective, is this notion of user adoption. These SPDM systems bring a huge value, but it's also represent an additional, let's say, a burden on the shoulders of the engineers. There is a price to get these nice capabilities, and that's also a challenge that the companies have to face when deploying such system. Let's have a look now on the P7 Enterprise situation with strength and challenges as well. The strength from an SPDM standpoint, at least, or collaboration or integration standpoint. The strength is that this is low-code collaborative engineering. So we have this level of abstraction which allow you to quickly embed and integrate your engineering processes. It's engineering tool agnostic. So coming back to the remark on how many connections can you have to the zoo of CAE software you have in a large company, our system is really made for this and is completely independent from the software itself. So we provide generic integration methods, and this is of course a great benefit. We automate the engineering workflows, obviously. We have the complete predictive analytics suite, so machine learning AI is fully embedded in the system. We have the design exploration tool suite. We do the knowledge capture, and very important, we own the simulation context. Yes, because a workflow captured in P7 Enterprise represents a complete, let's say, a sequence of events. And by definition, as you have a workflow, you know all the dependencies. So you know that data, this object, for example, is derived from another object. And so you have the context information with potentially you can capture all the metadata and put that into a knowledge base. However, we face also some challenges, like we generate a lot of data, and we don't have the system to properly handle version control, all of that data. This is precisely the role of an SPDM system. We don't provide traceability. It's very difficult, and this is an entire and very complex topic. This is the core of SPDM, so we cannot actually have something equivalent in a solution like P7 Enterprise. We don't have the search engine to do the search in massive amount of data like SPDM platforms provide. We have limited metadata management. We can capture the metadata, but we don't manage it as good as an SPDM system. And we don't have the business workflow logic. So we have notions of roles and users, yes, but there is no business workflow logic like you have in SPDM system. So this is why it's so important and interesting to combine the two. We have this presentation from the well-known expert, Mr. Mark Norris, working for NAFEMS, who precisely point out the situation of this necessity to connect to so many different types of software when you deploy an SPDM system. So in other words, a tool like P7 Enterprise can be the universal plug to any kind of software. And this is one of the big benefits, of course, of combining P7 Enterprise with SIM Data Manager. So we have worked on a prototype here to demonstrate that capability. So first of all, interoperability, of course, is key. This is how we ensure the communication and the good communication between the two systems. We have developed here a specific block, let's say, which is a kind of standard block of P7 Enterprise, but this one can connect to the SPDM system. It means that you can just provide your credentials, connect to SIM Data Manager, and then navigate into the database so you can find all the parameters that you need or the objects that you need so that you can pull them during workflow execution and you can run your workflow. The block is completely generic. So this integration block is standard and you can connect it to the rest of your workflow. So it means at the end that the integration with a SPDM system is transparent for the user. So that's of course a great benefit. Traceability now. P7 Enterprise owns by definition context, simulation context. We know who runs what, which software is used, all the dependencies, if a result is derived from a simulation and the simulation is derived from a mesh and the mesh derived from a CAD, we have all that information. So we can capture all of that and store that information into the SPDM system so that a query in the search engine is extremely powerful. Change management is also extremely important. Why? Because as I said, there could be resistance from end users to adopt this kind of collaborative environment due to the additional, let's say, burden that it represents. But here, with an approach where you have such an integration via a workflow block, then you avoid the situation where you need to ask the user or the workflow user in P7 Enterprise to actually use two systems at the same time. So the block will do the synchronization. The block will manage the communication between the two systems, not the user. The user has a standard object to prepare his workflow, and it doesn't actually go into the SPDM system to do all the connections, the tuning, etc. So this is where you can really bring, let's say, the SPDM power in your organization without, let's say, disruption or without asking the users, the end users, to change their way of working. Version control of engineering workflow, that's a key aspect. So in P7 Enterprise, the workflow could be actually extracted or exported, if you want, and version control in an SPDM system. That's something possible. So the demonstration we have done for now doesn't show this, but this is theoretically possible. So that it means you can create multiple workflows and have them as independent object in the SPDM system where you do the fine version control here and tuning. So all of this communication, of course, and how we exchange information between SPDM and P7 Enterprise is handled thanks to the REST API and web services. Yes, the ability to execute also a workflow, a P7 enterprise workflow from the SPDM environment is a key aspect. So in that case, the workflow is a kind of black box, which is executed by the SPDM environment. And what we have done here is to prepare such capability, meaning, and you will see it in the demo, that the user of the SPDM system can actually select a list of P7 enterprise workflow to be executed directly from the SPDM system. So that user will not go out of the SPDM system. He stays in his environment, just select the workflow, provide the inputs, and run the button to execute the workflow. Building predictive models is also possible. So thanks to the REST API, again, we can actually gather the data stored in the SPDM system. The data is actually pulled from the SPDM system. It feeds a P7 enterprise workflow where the models are trained, validated, and then exported, and they can even be pushed back to the SPDM system. In the case you want to version control the predictive models which have been produced by P7 Enterprise. So now we're going to show you the system in just a few minutes. So the demonstration is separated into two parts. The scenario is very simple. Some of you might know well the turbine disk example that we use in our training materials or tutorials. So we use that very basic example. So here we have one user on the SPDM side, and there the models are stored, the data are stored. And on P7 Enterprise side, we have another user actually preparing the workflows and running the processes. So what my colleague George will show you now is two things. First, a user which works in the P7 Enterprise environment can automatically push and pull data from or to the SPDM system to execute his workflow. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is the opposite one. So you have a user in the SDM system, SIM Data Manager system, and he actually selects a pre-created P7 Enterprise workflow from a drop-down list and triggers the batch execution. So George, you can take over from there.
Yes, thank you, Laura.
Sharing. Just a sec.
So here I have in the browser, I have two tabs with SIM Data Manager opened and also with P7 Enterprise. To begin with, let's take a look at data organization in SIM Data Manager. So here I have a tree of all the objects stored in SIM Data Manager. And to begin with, all of models which can be used for simulations, for any kind of studies, are stored under C structure folder. So what file will we use today is stored in folder data for user conference 2023. And here I have a file with inputs for my simulation, which I will later use in P7 Enterprise. Also have here a subfolder called simulations, and in it I have a subfolder called P7 where we store all the results of the simulation, which later can be observed, or version controlled, or something like that. So now let's switch to P7 Enterprise. Here I have a workflow called user conference opened. Here you can see two blocks of SDM connector, which Lauren mentioned, and in the middle I have a referenced workflow, which is called integration. And inside this integration workflow, I run a structural analysis with just a generic one with meshing, after that with solving, and the post-processing of the results. So what I want to do is to select a file from the SPDM, which will be used as an input data for my study. This is done by the pull block. This block has some interface, and before using it, we need to configure it. So first thing that we need to do is just to log in with our credentials from SIM Data Manager. And after logging in, I will have a folder tree available here on the left. This folder copies the structure from the SIM Data Manager. And here as an input, I select a file from this folder, data for user conference, and this file will be fed to the workflow which I've shown you before. Also, this blocks ensures that during the run of the workflow, you can actually start it, just to get the results as soon as possible. And what I wanted to say that also this block ensures that we are using the most recent version stored in SIM Data Manager. And yeah, all the results that we will get will always be up to date. Also, we have another SDM connector block called push, and this block is used for pushing all of our results into the SIM Data Manager. So here with this link, I just connect all the files produced by my workflow. Such files can be, for example, mesh, the values of stresses, or for example, map of stresses, or something like that. So here I launched this workflow. It is now in the running status, and yeah, in a few seconds we will receive the results. So again, what is happening right now? This block, this pull block, using REST API connects to the SIM Data Manager and checks the version of the file it's trying to download, and yeah, outputs it into our simulation workflow. So now this workflow is completed successfully, and on the SIM Data Manager, we can now reload, and in the tree we will be able to observe the results. So under simulations, P7, we have a subfolder called User Conference 2023, just as the name of the workflow. And here we have run 1. And in this run, as an input, we have a referenced object, which we used as an input. So it's not exactly the file, it's a reference to this simulation inputs module. And in the outputs, we also have some files generated by the workflow. So yeah, here you can see some output data, so the mesh, and yeah, some graphs are also available. So this was the first way of integrating these two platforms. And the second way, which I want to share with you, is launching a P7 workflow right from SIM Data Manager. To do that, I will select which object I will use for starting the workflow. And by clicking on the special interface that we developed together with partners from PDTech, here opens this interface. Using this interface, we can modify some geometry parameters of our model. And here also we have a section called workflow selection. This is a dynamic list of all the workflows available in P7. And here we can select the workflow which we observed before, called user conference, and we can submit our run to P7 by clicking this button. So what happens on the background? A new run is created on P7 Enterprise, and we can see that in P7 Enterprise. So here on this main page, we can see that we have a list of runs, and yeah, it appears again. So this second run was triggered from SIM Data Manager, and just like with the first run, all of the results of this simulation will be saved as a second run here on the Sim Data Manager side. So yeah, we can just wait until this run finishes and observe that the results appeared. So yeah, right now we are on the last step of pushing the results. And yeah, the workflow has successfully finished. By the way, you can close this window anytime because the run will still continue to execute. And yeah, after updating, we can see that a new run appeared with the same set of files associated with it. So that's it for the demo. Thank you for your attention. Lauren, give the word back to you.
Yeah, thank you, George. Ladies and gentlemen, so this session concludes the first half of the conference. I just would like to remind you that we have the next session starting at 1:10. So in less than 1 hour. I'm afraid we don't have time for the Q&A for this part, as we have already extended the allocated slot. But I would like to thank Michael for your presentation and George for your demonstration. Thanks a lot to all of you for attending, and so speak to you in a few minutes now at 1:10 for the afternoon, which is more focused on P7. So thank you, everybody, and see you soon.